Good morning and welcome to Workforce Observer, where we go beyond the headlines to uncover the real forces reshaping work, talent, technology, and the business of staffing. Today's guest is Brian Salkowski, an accomplished executive leader with over 17 years at Impellum, where he most recently served as Chief Experience Officer. Widely recognized as a trusted authority in contingent workforce management and services procurement, Brian reflects a deep commitment to advancing talent innovation, integrating technology and data, and helping organizations future-proof their workforces. Welcome, Brian.
Wow, thank you for that introduction. I feel like I shouldn't say anything after that.
No, I'm looking forward to our conversation. So, you've been at Impellum for 17 years. What are you proudest of achieving in your career and in shaping the world of work?
It's something I've thought about a lot. When you look back at all of those experiences, is there a single one that stands out? And I mean this in a good way. No, I don't focus on a single one. It's really the collective that I take great pride in, because it's been a journey. And so at each part, there's successes, there's challenges, there's learnings. I can think back to the early days before we were in Pelham. I was with Bartech. We were since acquired, and we were small and we were nimble and we were bidding on and winning deals we had no business winning. And there's a lot of joys in that. But fast forward, Pelham global organization, and we're winning and doing our best in the marketplace, and it's a different kind of success, and both are valuable. So when I say the collective, what I really think about is, I've heard others say this, but recruitment is a noble profession, and over the years we've connected. We've been the glue, if you will, that's brought together big enterprises with lots of opportunities, with workers all over the globe. And there's been millions of connections that have been made. And so better opportunities, lives for those individuals, those organizations, their employees, their shareholders, being powered through that talent connection. That's pretty powerful, especially over that scale and over that period of time.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So, looking back, which I'm sure you've done a lot of, what's one challenge you're glad you faced because you shaped who you are as a leader?
Yeah. So we're going back several years now, but there was a point where I was in a head-to-head competition for the big promotion, and I lost.
Ah,
Straight up, I lost. And a lot of people reached out when it got announced, and the assumption was that I'd be packing my bags and traveling on to the next destination. And I can tell you, looking back, I am so glad I did not. And it really helped shape me because, especially today, I see this so often that the first reaction is flight versus fight. And there was no fight. Don't get me wrong. We
no.
were all professionals. This is good. But the fact is, I learned from that individual. I also
Yeah.
helped myself professionally because it gave me time and opportunity to think about what they brought that I did not. What are the areas that I could elevate my game and drive new opportunities? And I was since promoted since that time.
Right.
So what was initially a setback, I can actually say in all sincerity, set me up for the next several opportunities that I had. And it never would have occurred had I went with my initial reaction or taken the quick advice from those not in the know.
I'm really glad you said that because I interviewed a life coach recently, and one of the things that what you did is they refer to it as cognitive reframing,
Okay.
reframing cognitively. And when you reframe it cognitively, the biggest beneficiary is actually you
Yeah.
because you're not like, like you said, making that quick, oh God, I've been, whatever, I'm going to leave. Or, you're thinking about it. Okay. All right. And then when you do that, well, everything shifts within you as well as externally. Just something I learned, which
Yeah.
I think fits into what you've just said. So
I,
that's
I,
great.
I like the phrase cognitive reframe. It's certainly more
Yeah.
sophisticated than fight or flight. And
But
it
that's
does
what
for
you did. That's what
yeah.
you did.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, it's not easy. Ego was
No.
bruised, right? There was
Yeah.
definitely some time in deep self-reflection,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it didn't last forever, and the outcome over time was considerably better. It
Well,
was reframed. I like
it's
that. I like that.
Yeah, that's great. So going into it, it kind of gets into it. So, you've led such large and complex teams and partnerships globally. What lessons
Mhm.
about leadership and people have stayed with you the most? Because this is, we always hear it, right? Staffing is a people business.
Yeah, it is, and people are at the center of it for a reason. Leadership lessons. I think the biggest takeaway is success is built upon different people with a common cause. And the reason that I frame it that way is that if I think about the teams that I've had in the past, talented individuals, motivated individuals, these are fundamentals, but also very different. And if I had a team of all salespeople, just to oversimplify, delivery could potentially suffer. Great delivery, but with no outward sales, we're not going to hit our growth aspirations. And so it's taking those different skill sets, and I'm only choosing two there. In reality, it's myriad. But taking those different skill sets and
Mhm.
uniting behind a common purpose, a common cause. So
Right.
very simple. Impellum, one of our largest brand, is guiding global, and we've held on to a hashtag for a while now, a better way, and having people unite around a better way, because anyone can contribute to that, whether it's someone who's in delivery or implementation. How do I deliver better for my customers? If it's in technology configuration, how do we achieve the best possible setup to enable our teams and our end customers? Sales, you can play it all the way through, and we don't always have the better way. It can be helping customers discover the better way. So again, it's a very simple example, and there's much more beyond a hashtag underneath it, but
Right.
it's something that people could unite around. And so
Right.
all those different skills could lean in on this and talk about how do we take an industry that's been described at times as tired, wrinkled beyond its years, and do something more and advance it further. So I think about common cause, common purpose, things that people can find that unity around, but bring their values, their individual abilities and expertise to that. And then as a leader, my job is to help remind and refresh on that common purpose, and to ensure that the team has what they need to be successful. So I often think of the leader as a chameleon, because they are different people. Not everyone needs the same thing. My
Mhm.
job is to understand what motivates, what drives, what challenges are there, so I can be responsive to the needs of the individual, their team, their location. And it's not a single story. It is not a common answer. It's many answers, and they're all right.
Great. Thank you for that. Okay. We can't have a conversation with you without bringing the MSP in, right? You've been in the center of MSP evolution. Where do you see it heading? I guess my question is because so many people say different things, and this is not just today. When I started first writing about the MSP, and I'm talking about 2 decades ago, the same thing was said. Will MSPs continue? Is it over? So what do you think? Will they continue in their current form? They obviously will, but what are they going to transform into, I guess?
Yeah, it will continue, but it has to transform, and it's transformed before. I think what's generating that buzz, if you will, right now, is
Yeah.
the next transformation is a big one, and I think of it very much as similar to the onset of MSP, where I was in recruitment. I was managing a large region for a multinational, and there was this curiosity appearing at some of our customers, and we had to adapt or die. And so right now, technology is inevitably shaping the industry, and
Mm.
adapt or die is an appropriate phrase. The good news, though, is that this comes on top of what I'm going to consider a long-term trend from clients demanding more from their MSPs in terms of advisory, in terms of active consultation, and assurances based upon experience versus just tactical execution. I'm not new in saying that. We've been hearing that. I
Mhm.
know you've spoken to many customers over the years, and this has been a common theme. The reason I bring it up now is technology, as it is advancing, and it is advancing very, very quickly. So we think about what AI can do to the business, in particular, agentic AI can do to support the business. The ability to manage transactions, leveraging technology, allows for both investment and development of the people-based resources to ensure that there is a holistic view of what's happening. And the reason that it doesn't go away is severalfold. One, customers are looking for assurance. Are you going to bet a large and critical segment of your company's spend and of their talent pipeline on purely a agentic recommendation or outcome? Having an organization that can offer assurances around this, review those recommendations, assess them based on that experience, has immense value associated with it. In addition, those resources, and I've talked to so many customers over the years, they've continued to come back and say, we want our partners to leverage technology. We can see the opportunity, but we also recognize when we're talking about talent, when we're talking about people, there is a value to the relationships there. There's value to understanding our business, and that overlay of humans, that what's the phrase they use, human in the loop, has great value to us. So we're looking for partners, for MSPs, to take the lead, bring us the best of the technology that's out there, but to solve for the balance between people and tech and process to produce better outcomes and focus more on the next level insights that can't be done when you're always pushing buttons to process transactions.
That's true. So some technology, some human curation, some expertise, you know, that's a bundle, I guess.
It is, and a bundle's a good term for it. It's not
Yeah.
one element or the other. It's all of the above working in concert. And so I know the big term right now that we're hearing a lot with AI is orchestration. The MSP is an orchestrator, orchestrating those
Okay.
elements between,
Yeah.
yes, between the people in the process and the technology. And the fact is, we can do more with the technology than we ever have been able to in the past. And that's only accelerating exponentially, which means that our potential to invest in the humans and their capabilities has also never been greater.
That's great. What do you think about this new trend that I've been hearing about? And I don't know if it's a new trend, but it has been coming to my attention. People are talking about the mid-market MSPs. There's a place for that, and which wasn't evident before, like companies with smaller, programs. Are you seeing that? What do you have any sort of comments on that?
I'm definitely seeing that. So I
Okay.
would say it's not, there's reality to that hype.
Okay.
And it's severalfold. It's not being driven solely by the buy side or the supply side. It's coming
Okay.
from both. And if we think
Okay.
about MSP, Global 1000, the penetration, I know it varies a little bit year to year, depending on the survey you're looking at, but it's been consistently in the high 60s, call it 70% on the top side of adoption amongst the Global 1000, VMS upwards of 90%. So the amount of market share that's out there for taking is not great. So amongst that 70%, you're trading logos over a period of time. So it's only logical that you would look to what are the other large and meaningful marketplaces that are there. In addition, we call them mid-market. It doesn't mean that it's not meaningful spend and not significant volumes of opportunities in the marketplace. But the challenge has been being able to deliver it in a cost-effective manner such that you can recognize the economies of scales that the largest enterprises have been doing for some time. Those mid-market customers are absolutely savvy, they're sophisticated, and they're looking to take advantage of the greatest tools and tech that some of their larger competitors or market players are doing. So it's not coincidence that as the technology opportunities expand, that this market is expanding with it. It's large. It's not tapped anywhere near to the same degree. There's a sophisticated buyer base, and now the technology allows us to deliver at scale at a effective cost to benefit ratio.
Right. So the large MSP has to be on its toes. because, everyone's like kind of chipping away. Okay. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Chipping away, and how much more market share is there to be grabbed? Certainly through expanding those relationships and looking for areas of uncovered external workforce spend. But the larger opportunity, when we look at the size of the mid-market, the number of companies that are in there, their talent, their consumption of talent-based resources, it's a significant opportunity. And so being able to deliver it with a fast enough ramp to revenue and with economies of scale that make it make sense for the supplier and the buyer in tandem.
Mm-hmm.
It's why it's coming to the market with significant interest at this point in time.
And just to clarify, the mid-market companies, what are they? What's the size? I mean, this person last I spoke to said 10 to 20 million, but it seemed like bigger than that to me because some of the companies have 50 million spend. Would that be a mid-market or does that?
Yeah, so it's interesting you asked that question. I just saw this come up in an article I read as well, and it depends on how you define it. There's organizations that define large, small, mid based on annual revenues, based on number of employees or licenses. Our
Okay.
industry does
Yeah.
tend to define it based on its external labor spend.
Spend,
So
right.
not necessarily the size of the organization. You could have a
Right.
very small, well, probably not very small, but you could have, by traditional definitions of revenue,
Right.
a small market player that has a large or outsized spend as it relates to external workforce and vice versa. So
Right.
when we look at it, and these are rough parameters, but you typically look at small market under 10 to 15 million annual expenditure, 15 to 75 mid, 75 or 100 plus as largest enterprise. But I've not seen a single global definition, and none of that has anything to do with the quality of the program and quality of the relationship, which is ultimately where the value gets created and the work gets done.
Thank you. Well, the big thing that I'm seeing is payroll services and EOR models are growing fast. And I know that many staffing companies, in fact, I just spoke to one yesterday who actually is moving into the payroll. Not today, they moved before, and now they're seeing a lot of gains from that. So, how do you see these models impact traditional staffing, and where do you think the opportunities and I guess even the risks lie? Because I happen to also speak to a traditional, they're just an EOR provider, they don't do any staffing. And they said that, oh, it can't, staffing firms jump on the bandwagon, but it's really not that simple as people think it is. And of course, that's their perspective. But what do you think?
So I've noticed similar that the rise of the global EOR, employer of record, or AOR,
Yeah.
agent of record,
Yep.
has definitely accelerated and at pace over the last several years. I think there's a couple reasons for that. One, as we think about the globalization of labor, hiring without borders, being able to employ in multiple geographies in a compliant fashion,
Apply.
and in a talent-centric way, such that they're being engaged professionally and consistently, and being welcomed as a resource. There's value to that, and it's not easy to navigate hiring laws and 70 different countries and all of the complexities and foreign exchange considerations, tax considerations, licensing considerations associated with that. So that's on the global front. More close to home, I think of EOR primarily for known talent or referred talent. We need someone to employ someone compliantly on our behalf, and the compliant piece is really important. So as technology and service providers get better and better at curating and maintaining known talent, EOR services are a natural outlet for that. So I think both things are driving it. From a financial perspective, the EOR business is cash intensive. You're making payroll on a regular basis, weekly, monthly, whatever is normal for that particular region. So it's cash intensive because then you're getting paid on net terms, whatever those may be. However, it converts at a very high ratio. So a well-funded organization can deliver this with some really good returns as it relates converting gross profit to EBITDA.
AI, it's reshaping how companies manage workforce, right? We've already touched on it briefly. So how do you see AI intersecting with MSP and EOR models? And I know you already touched a little bit of the MSP, but what does it really mean, I guess, for the future of workforce strategy?
So, in the most basic terms, recruitment is a very transaction heavy process. If we think about applying for a job, validating credentials across that, scheduling interviews and follow up conversations, completing pre employment check. No need for me to list all of them, but there
Right,
are necessary set requirements that need to happen, and there's value in them happening throughout that process.
right.
So, in particular, agentic AI allows for those to happen with across a wide range of if-then scenarios. If I think about other automation tools that we've had, and there's been some good ones, they've been kind of linear, if you will, for the most part in workflow. Now, depending on on the information that's given or provided, whether it's moving from many submissions down to a few for review, or navigating complex adjudications in the pre-employment screening process,
Yeah.
agentic AI allows for many of those transactions to be effectively and efficiently managed. So it does tie back to my earlier point, which is if people don't have to do that, or realistically have to do less of it, or they're orchestrating that process and providing the critical judgment elements there, we are able to redirect that time to higher value add propositions. And if you've heard me talk before, I think you have, Subhadra, where I talk about
Yes.
the supplier hierarchy within an organization. This is a Miller-Hyman concept, and you move from a good provider, a commoditized but good provider of products or services, and you move up this ladder or these steps. You become an organization that contributes to business initiatives or organizational prerogatives, and it's at that point you're able to differentiate what the MSP is able to do by adopting and implementing and orchestrating AI in their process is naturally devote more time, investment, and resources towards contributing to those organizational issues and helping to solve for complexities that extend beyond a single requisition.
That's cool. I actually have heard you talk, but it's been a while. So I'm glad you brought that up. So, what do you see as the biggest disruptor or enabler of workforce solutions in the next 5 years? I know, besides AI, because everyone's
That
saying AI, but what do you actually think? Do you think there is anything
it,
there?
yeah, I mean, it is the obvious one, and the simple fact is I can sit here and claim to know more than I do. I won't. It is moving so fast that I don't
Yeah,
think anyone can honestly predict that if we went out 2 years from now, let alone 5 years from now, here's
what
the
it is.
portion and
Yeah.
realignment. We can all see the direction of travel. Not only is it coming, it's here, it's
It's
already here, but how quickly it will accelerate. So from a trend perspective, everything else I would say pales in comparison to that. However, I think we can put some wrappers around it. So if we know, and we do, that AI will be enabling these processes, what else do we know is going to happen? The shift in terms of employees to externals is going to continue to this balance of scales is going to continue to tilt, so that we have a larger percentage of the workforce as externals. So this becomes more and more important. As we look at the broader ecosystem, there are a tremendous amount of highly sophisticated point solutions that have come into the marketplace. So I'm talking about many of the platforms that are there. So you have freelancer marketplaces, you have some that are very specialized within specific talent communities. You have traditional supply. We've seen a movement towards statement of work or services based, project based engagements that will continue. So the ecosystem, the menu has gotten much, much larger. And these are viable options. So AI will help us on this, but we're going to have to curate and provide a much larger menu to customers and be much more adept with the right recommendations based on what the customer is trying to accomplish and the realities of the talent marketplace and supply and demand at any given time.
Excellent. Your next chapter, what does that look like? Details?
Oh, I wish I could tell you.
No, fair. That's fair.
I've had a wonderful experience at Impellum. As you said, it's 17 years last month, and I'll be handing over my reins. Actually, largely have, but over the next couple months here. So, what's the future hold? The most immediate future is some relaxation and some really good time with my family. But that's not a forever thing. I enjoy this space way too much, and I'll be diving back in. But for the moment, it's enjoying the fruits of the labor and the benefits of time for a little bit.
I'm very happy for you. Now, before we, kind of close, one piece of advice you'd like to share for the ecosystem.
Yeah, so this is, I'm going to take something I mentioned earlier, but make it a much more succinct. I've spent, I'm being repetitive, but a lot of time speaking with customers about the future of work. And if they were going to make bets, what bets would they make? Which ones would they not? And if they're not making the bets, which ones would they like to see their partners, their providers take in the marketplace? So my advice to the practitioners out there is that the future is hybrid. And what I mean by that is it's that ecosystem that we just talked about, and it's finding that right marriage of people, processes, and technology. And any overemphasis to one side or the other could be to the detriment of both your customer and to your organization. And so the reason I say this is, while I'm asking them about bets and they're talking about technology, time and time again, almost to a customer, they say, but don't lose focus on your people. They are what brings this together. They've developed insights and relationships that cannot be just lifted and dumped into an algorithm. There's tremendous value in this. So yes, lean on, take the best of what's available in the marketplace, but don't lose focus on what sets you apart. And so I'll give credit here to I don't know if you know Marcus Sawyer, but he had shared something the other week, and I loved it. He mentioned that if AI can scale infinitely, which potentially it can, you need to find something that doesn't scale to continue to win and differentiate in the marketplace. And that's why I bring that back to the future as hybrid. You need to find those things that can be layered on an infinitely scalable AI that keep your unique selling position, that leverage those relationships and strengths of your team and people in order to ensure that you are differentiating from what could be the ubiquitous use of AI platforms.
Brian Salkowski, thank you. Always a pleasure. I wish you good luck in the next chapter, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Well, I always appreciate it, Subhadra. This is a lot of fun. Anytime you want me back, you let me know.
I will. Thank you, Brian.